Ladies and gentlemen, we're here at Fenway Park. We are resulting to you guys a game between the Boston Red Sox and the Toronto Blue Jays. This is going to be a great game. We have a lot of stars of both teams, and I'm just super excited to showcase this for you guys. And later on, we are going to be exploring Fenway Park a little bit. I'll show you guys what they have once we get there. This is going to be a great game, and I hope you guys sit back and enjoy this battle. So, let's get started, and let's start the game.
Here on behalf of Jim Beam, please welcome Dave Turo. Okay, Dave, let's see the pitch. Toronto Blue Jays. Leading off, the designated hitter number 4, George Springer. Batting second, the first baseman number 27, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. At third, the second baseman number 10, Marcus Simeon. Batting cleanup, the shortstop number 11, Bo Bichette. Batting fifth, the right fielder number 37, Teoscar Hernandez. Batting sixth, the left fielder number 13, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Batting seventh, the center fielder number 15, Randall Richard. Batting eighth, the third baseman number 8, Kevin Biggio. Batting ninth, the catcher number 7, Reese McGuire. And pitching for the Blue Jays, number 21, Thomas Hatch. And now for your Boston Red Sox. Leading off, the shortstop, number 5, Kike Hernandez. Batting second, the center fielder, number 40, Jaron Duran. Batting third, the designated hitter, number 28, J.D. Martinez. Batting cleanup, the third baseman, number 11, Rafael Devers. Batting fifth, the right fielder, number 10, Hunter Renfroe. Batting sixth, the left fielder, number 99, Alex Verdugo. Batting seventh, the catcher, number 7, Christian Vasquez. Batting eighth, the first baseman, number 16, Franchi Cordero. Batting ninth, the second baseman, number 23, Michael Chavis. And pitching for the Red Sox, number 37, Nick Pivetta.
You just see it all happening.
Alright everybody, we are here after that great home run by Raphael Devers. We are going to be exploring Fenway Park here, and this is my 15th game I've ever been to at Fenway Park since 2013, and I thought it would be a great time for me to explore Fenway Park and showcase the footage for you guys. This footage was from my baseball stream, you guys can check that out. And I decided to do that because so that way I don't have to worry and stop the camera and all that stuff. So I decided to do that way to work things out and to see the papers. As you see, we're exploring. This is what the indoors of the park looks like. And as you can see, here are the logos from the past. And as you can see here on the right, this is a 1912 door. Yes, 1912 door. Can you believe that they have a door still from 1912? Wow, and there's a trophy right there, I believe it's from the World Series. The first one ever here at Fenway Park. There's the Fenway Park 1912 logo. And that is the Boston Strong logo and t-shirt after what happened in 2013 Boston bombing. And as you can see, I decided to come here behind home plate to show you guys what behind home plate looks like. I actually been to a game to say behind home plate in the 2017 LDS Game 3, the first playoff game I've ever been to here. And as you can see, here's a little game as Nick strikes out to end the inning. And now, as you can see, here's the wall of Red Sox MVPs. Here's Mookie Betts from 2018. Here is Dusty Pedroia, who recently retired, 2008. We have Mo Vaughn from 1995, who was a great player for a while. We have Roger Clemens, the pitcher from 1986. We have Jim Rice from 1978. And we have Fred Lynn, who won rookie. Here's Carly Simpson, 1967. We have Jackie Jensen from 1958. We have Ted Williams, great Ted Williams, 1949, and 1946. Two MVPs. We have Jimmy Fox, 1938, and we have Trent Speaker as well. Here's what more of the indoors looks like. This is a very old stadium from 1912. This is what I like about MLB stadiums, how old it looks, with how old this thing has been. And I just really love this stadium. This stadium is definitely something for you guys to see someday, and it has a wall of history. And I just really love Fenway Park. I've been going since 2013, and I just really love Fenway Park. It's great. As you see here on the right, we have logos from past World Series. As you can see, we have 1903. We have 1912, the first one here at Fenway Park, of course. We have 1915, 1916, back to back. We have 1918, the famous 1918, and 86 years later, 2004, 2007, 2013, and 2018, the most recent one, which I've been proud to watch most of the games from that season. I was really hoping they won that year, and they did, and I'm very happy about it. This is Fenway's first decade, Fenway's first dynasty. With a lot of old articles and pictures from past World Series. There's one from 1918. Some more articles here. 1916. And there's one from 1912. Very old pictures here. And there's one from 1915 as well. And I decided to go up here on the right. Because I've been around this area in the 2018 ALDS Game 1, which was the first Red Sox Yankees playoff game since 2004. And also at Fenway Park, 2004 LCS Game 5. With that 0-4 comeback. As you can see, this is what it looks like. I actually was a little bit below down there. This is a great view. Great series. I really like this area. There's also standing room behind me. This is a great area. And I had a lot of fun that game. And I decided to go back down. Here's some of the articles here as well. There's a lot of history with these articles. (1912). And this is the oldest baseball stadium ever for MLB. The second most is Wrigley Field, 1914. But as for the third, I believe it's Dodger Stadium. Not 100% sure, but I think it is. And I decided to go back and show you guys some of the old World Series pictures as well. If you ever at a game and feel away from bored, go around Fenway Park and walk around, because it is something to see with a lot of history and a lot of cool stuff. So if you're at a game, make sure sometime if you want to walk around, and that's what I decided to do here. And show you guys some footage of a lot of history of what Fenway Park has, because I've never really done this before. All the time I've been in Fenway Park, and I decided this is a great time for the showcase here with you guys. And there's the World Series logos again. And as you can see, here's some little cool stuff over here. They don't just do baseball, they do football, I believe soccer, and a lot of different things, along with concerts as well. Fenway Park a lot does some cool stuff here. So, without further ado, let's go back to the game and enjoy. Hello everybody, welcome to day number 2. As you can see, it is a nice day outside, and we're currently here in the hotel here in Boston, and we're going to be doing a lot of cool stuff today. We are going on a little train ride, and we're also going to be going to restaurants and just having fun in Boston. So, wow, what a great game last night. Like, I've been waiting to show you guys footage of a Red Sox win, and the day just went perfectly for me. And because I wanted also to show you guys from the park what it looks like, and I wanted to walk around as well as a million, and this is great. So without further ado, let's enjoy day number 2. Alright, just got the meeting. That's what the restaurant looks like. Very nice restaurant. Someone is here, and we're about to take a little film, so you can see.
Been on the trolley already?
Yeah.
So you just want to go do something fun or hit the hotel and take a nap for fun later? Okay, well, in the meantime, I'm going to probably talk about Fall Revere and stuff like that, For the third time today, you'll hear about Fall Revere's ride. But we'll try to, keep it moving along. So we're, as you do know, we asked you to more people. Huh?
Yes, 4 coming on board.
Okay, well, you didn't accept that fast, some more people are hopping on board. Well, you guys all know the safety stuff. Don't jump out the windows no matter how bad my tour is, right? Stay seated. People do stupid stuff in front of us all the time. Alright, stop number 1. Long walk, leave from. They called it a long walk because it was a long walk. 1,800 feet long when this thing was built back in 1710. Yeah, we're being a little rebellious or obnoxious, so the king sent the troops in to slap us around. I bet we still have some order around these parts. 8 years later, 78 ships line this warp, some 11,000 British troops and an additional 1,000 loyalists to the ground piled on those ships, leaving Boston peacefully for the last time. It's an official holiday. It's called Evacuation Day, the day the British troops left Boston. Yeah, it's also St. Paddy's Day, so it's a double shot of love around here. Are you filming right with that thing? This is my 4th tour of the day. This is going to be a horrible tour. Not representative of, Alright, I'll try to make it alright. We gotta talk about the copyright on this, alright? Full carousel over here to the left. You can take a spin when you get back. No horses to ride, just lobsters and whales, various native species. Right over here, there's a rose garden. Rose Fitzgerald Kennedy, the matriarch of the Kennedy clan. Rose was born over here in the North End, baptized, eulogized, right up in the old main drag about Hanover Street, St. Stephen's Church. She lived to be 104, so they always had 104 rose bushes in her garden, one for each year of her life. Yeah, when Rose hit the century mark, she did this interview, and they asked her, what's the main advantage of living to be a century old? She thought for a moment. She said, well, there is no more peer pressure. I'm working on my Rose County. So this is the original neighborhood here. This is where those first group of settlers, those weird Puritans, settled down. Back in 1630. And it was a jumping off point for centuries. The British merchant class followed them. A big wave of Irish filled the neighborhood. Became a bit of a Jewish enclave built among the Irish. Then for the 1920s, the North End was 90% Italian for here. It's more of a mixed neighborhood these days, about 30% Italian, but with 100 or so restaurants, bakeries, cafes, strewn throughout the charming narrow streets of Boston's North End, most of them being Italian joints. It is the Italian section of Boston. Yeah, there's lines out the door of these bakeries at 11 o'clock at night, 100 people out, some of them. On warm summer nights. Oh, you leaving? Have a good one. Want a race? Yeah, we drive around the North End. All the streets are real tight. There's actually all these little alleyways and stuff, you know. It's kind of a... You're going to get off the beaten path. Kind of neat places to explore out through here. Paul Revere lived a few blocks from here over in Old North Square. That's right along the Freedom Trail. Paul Revere's house, the oldest wooden house in all of downtown Boston. It was built back in 1680. He didn't move in until 1770. It was a bit of a fixer-upper by then. They ended up having 8 kids together, him and his wife Sarah, but unfortunately she passed on 5 months after giving birth to a child. And back in those times, it was pretty customary to remarry quick. Paul didn't waste a lot of time on that. 5 months later, he married Rachel Walker. They had 8 kids, too. Well, they were just piled up everywhere at Paul's house. They worked pretty hard to spoil their large brood early on. He rung bells, later caster bells, famous silversmith, goldsmith. He opened up copper mills in his later years, which produced sheets of copper, made his way to some historical things around this town. He even practiced a little dentistry on the side. His most famous occupation was a volunteer position. As a courier for the Sons of Liberty, he rode hundreds of rides as a courier, traveling as far as Philadelphia by horseback on a few occasions. Of course, his most famous ride, that midnight ride, that brought him 15 miles west here out to Lexington, and he was going to go a bit further down the road to Concord. You look up the street over the building top, you see the old North Church steeple singing up right there. That's where the signals were hung up the night of the midnight ride. It was going to be one by land, two by sea. Yeah, the British Army found out that John Hancock and Sam Adams were hiding in Lexington. They had a death sentence hanging over their head if captured for being bad boys, stirring up revolutionary fever, dumping TNRs, all that kind of stuff. So they were going to arrest those guys. They also found out we were storing guns, muskets, and Concord, so they were going to go grab those up too. And we found out about their plans for our spy network here in town. Dr. Joseph Warren asked this guy Will Dawes and Paul Revere to go warn Hancock and Adams and alert the whole countryside that the British troops were about to be heading their way. It's just a matter of deciding, figuring out which way they were leaving town. We've seen them loading up on their longboats down on the back edge of Boston Common. We knew they were going by sea, and that's when Sexton Robert Newman climbed to the top of that steeple, flashing 2 lanterns as a signal for the Charlestown militia across the way. If Revere couldn't make it across, somebody else would have taken up the ride from over there. See, at this time, Boston was like a little island. 1.2 square miles was the whole landmass, connected by technically a peninsula. One narrow land bridge leading in and out of town, narrowed to 2 traffic lanes wide. They called it Boston Neck. Now, the British controlled that road, you know. They had checkpoints there. They wouldn't have let Revere out of town. He was like, you know, they were keeping him all boxed in, you know. So Will Dawes went in and out of town frequently, so they sent him that way by the land route. They were kind of used to seeing his face, wouldn't raise any eyebrows. In the cover of darkness, Paul Revere hopped on a small skiff over here. They buffled the horse to keep him quiet, and a couple of friends of his rowed him across, looking right past the bow of the warship, the HMS Somerset. I think I'm getting ahead of myself. Here, stop to it. Everyone wants to stop to. North Church, Cops Hill Barrow Ground, one of the famous barrow grounds up the hill. Started a little early in there. So we'll go up on the land round Florida, hopped on a small skip over here. We got that far, yeah. He made it across on the side, and he hopped on the old brown beauty. That was Reverend Larkin's horse, fastest horse available, and he took off through the countryside. He'd be stopping at all the houses he came across along the way, letting folks know that the regulars were out. He didn't say the British were coming. Everyone still thought of themselves as British then. They look at you like you were crazy. Yeah, the regulars meant the redcoats, the lobster backs. So he'd stop at a house and they'd tell their neighbors, so on and so forth. It was like an alarm bell going off throughout the countryside. Oh, there he goes now! Forgot to hit the switch. So, Revere made it up to Lexington a little after midnight, warm, Hancock and Adams, so they split town, doors around, having a bit of a rest and move on. He just happened to bump into this other guy, a fellow son of liberty, and a Concord native, Dr. Samuel Prescott. He decided to join him. The three of them took off. A mile out of town, though, they got stopped by a small British patrol. They took Revere's horse from him, but they didn't arrest him, so he just walked back to Lexington, no big deal. Dawes and Prescott, they bolted in opposite directions to elude capture. Dawes hit a low-hanging branch just down the road in his haste to escape, so he was done for the night, too. Prescott, he made it all the way back to Concord, further eluding everyone along the way. So much to the British Army's dismay, no one was surprised at all the next day. They came on out to Lexington Green. They ran into a bit of a skirmish there. They kept on keeping on until they came up to the foot of the old North Bridge. Looked across to the other side. There was a whole large assemblage of Minutemen waiting for them there. Shots were fired. Shots exchanged. The shot heard round the world by that day, April 19th, 1775. Marking the beginning of the American Revolution. Yeah, you know, it kind of seems like Paul Revere gets like the bulk of the credit for Midnight Ride. I mean, he did his thing, yeah, but Billy Dawes and Prescott, they did pretty much the same thing that night. And that's because he had a better press agent, I guess. A fellow by the name of Longfellow. Decades later, he wrote that poem, a very called Harry. Started out, listen, my children, and you shall hear of the midnight ride of Paul Revere. Yeah, Revere riding this poem, you know. Dawes, Prescott, not so much. They had the short trip to that town. So, we'll be rolling around the corner to one of the good stops at the end of the night. So it's like, you know, you get off the trolley, you're not getting back on, but, you know, if you're sticking around Boston, you come back. You haven't done it already. The historic Charlestown Navy Yard's up around the corner where you find America's ship. The Constitution is the oldest warship afloat in the world. It's an active Navy warship, and the young Navy personnel assigned to it gives amazing tours of this American treasure, old Ironsides. The Castle Youngs anchored down here too, World War II era destroyers, similar to what they used to build down here in the Navy Yard back in the day. The Constitution Museum is located down here in the Navy Yard. It is super cool. Fun for kids of all ages. Now the ships are free to tour if you're going to do it in the next day or two. You do need proper ID to go down. You know, they check you in, make sure you are who you say you are. But it is free to tour the shows. You go in the visitor center, there's a brick building up on the corner here, and there's a little Navy Yard museum in there you can check out too. The Constitution Museum's in that great building up ahead. As I mentioned, it's really good. Good stuff in there. That's by donation, you know. Give them some little bit of money, you know, keep everything nice. And if that wasn't enough, over here at Stop 3, you can go up to the Bunker Hill Monument Museum. That's where the first great battle of the Rivers is right along the Freedom Trail. Paul Revere's house, the oldest wooden house in all of downtown Boston. It was built back in 1680. He didn't move in until 1770. It was a bit of a fixer-upper by then. They ended up having 8 kids together, him and his wife Sarah, but unfortunately she passed on 5 months after giving birth to a child. And back in those times, it was pretty customary to remarry quick. Paul didn't waste a lot of time on that. 5 months later, he married Rachel Longer. They had 8 kids too. Well, they were just piled up everywhere at Paul's house. He worked pretty hard to support that large brood early on. He rung bells, later casted bells, famous silversmith, goldsmith. He opened up copper mills in his later years, which produced sheets of copper. Made his way to today. So they started up the hill, up and up and up they went. When they got near the top, a barrage of gunfire rained down upon them. They were dropping left and right in clumps and clusters. The ones that didn't fall quickly turned and hightailed it down that hill. They were not anxious to get back up there after witnessing what transpired. British officers actually hung a few of their own young troops as encouragement to get back up that hill. Well, heck, with that kind of encouragement, up they went for a second time, same thing, hold down again. Now, the British general in charge was just going out of his mind, screaming at his troops, they're just a bunch of pig farmers up there. Some were. They did all sorts of stuff. They had day jobs, you know. They weren't a professional army like his. In any case, they didn't know they ran out of bullets up top. They plotted, planned, eventually hit their hill for the 3rd time that day without any gunfire coming down to suppress their advance. They breached the top defenses. It was fierce hand-to-hand combat up there. Now, we kept a little fighting force to keep the British occupied. Most of the guys slipped out the back door off into Cambridge to live to fight another day. So they came to take the hill. That's what they were looking to do, and that's what they managed to do. So why do we have a big old monument for what effectively we lost the battle? They took, you know, the British took the hill. Well, it actually turned out to be quite a big, huge morale victory. Give them a shot in the arm, you know. I mean, it was definitely a David and Goliath kind of situation, you know. British Army was the most powerful army in the world then, and, you know, it was just a little ragtag bunch. Out of the initial 2,200 troops, the British Army sent up that hill 1,054, lay dead, dying all over the top of that hill. Around 400 Patriot troops out of that, but it was a bloodbath up there. First great battle in the American Revolution, Battle of Bunker Hill. Beautiful neighborhood now, well worth checking out. Right up in front of us here is the London-Sachem Bunker Hill Monument Bridge. The columns mimic the monument. The cables represent Boston's rich sailing history. London-Sachem was a peace activist here in Boston, said to build bridges between races and religions. Those kind of things go to crown and glory. I see on the take of that massive big thing project here in Boston, named after a good guy like London. It's quickly become an iconic structure in the city. You see some TV talking here on the ESPN, there's some cable news network coming out in this town. Often they have that bridge in the background to symbolize the city. Down below here we got the Gridley Locks. This allows boats to pass through the inner harbor to the left, Charles River Basin to the right, or vice versa. Just for the tides over here. Also serves as flood control. The river 4 million gallons a minute can be pumped out of the river. There's 6 massive pumps down here. The water levels rise high. Right up ahead, this is Congress headquarters here. You know, the sneaker company? They have a sneaker lab in here. You can create your own graphics on your Converse All-Stars if you're all arty and everything, you know. Do your own sneaker. Kind of cool thing they do here. Now this stuff over here to the left-hand side, this is where the George Washington Bridge just was. It was once the longest bridge in the whole country, so you can imagine it was old. So they built this temporary bridge we just rode over. Then they ripped the old bridge down. Now they're rebuilding it. that's done, they'll rip this one down and we'll drive on that one. Now this could all take quite some time. I don't know how it works for you guys around, but around here it's kind of like, okay, you got a guy working over here, 2 other guys are watching him, making sure he's doing it right, you know. Things take a while. Eventually it all happens. Check out that garage over there where it says park. That was the scene of a big robbery last mid-century. There was bricks on the car company there. And they got robbed. 2.7 billion in stocks and bonds were stolen out of that huge robbery. Translates into like 27 million bucks in today's currency. They called it the crime of the century. There was a bunch of books about it, movies done. I think that guy Columbo, Peter Falk, he did a movie back in the 70s to bring show. There was a few movies about that. Yeah, famous robbery there. Oh, bad sight. Well, that's not Christmas. That's just they're getting ready for an Italian fest over here. Every single one, there's like, I don't know, there's 8 churches in the North End, and they all have their own, you know, Italian celebration like that every weekend pretty much here till the end of the summer now. Roll up Italian sausages and you know, all that other stuff they got going on over here. Down below here is North Station. You got the subways, green line, red line, blue line, orange line. They'll bring you within a few blocks of any way you want to go here in town if you're sticking around for a while. They're pretty easy to use subways. But here you also have the commuter train. This is North Station. South Station is to the south, about a mile down the road. They send out trains an hour, hour and a half or more, kind of like a spoke in a bicycle wheel all around the greater Boston area. Bring folks in and out of town. Prior to the pandemic, roughly 600,000 people commuted in on an average workday. That pretty much turned into maybe 6 last year. I mean, there was like tumbleweeds floating down the street. It was eerily quiet. Everyone's home doing those Zoom meetings, you know, put on a nice shirt. Down below was a free-for-all. Who knows what was happening down there. And sales plummeted last year. Cool statue of Bobby O coming up here on the right-hand side in the entranceway.
Thanks to keep it in. Has it in the corner to Sanderson. Back in front of the shot.
Yes!
From Sanderson. And what could be more on the lap? As they beat St. Louis 4-3. Corner, Sanderson back corner. And
There you go. This is Bobby O's here in a series which going back to 1970 Stanley Cup Finals against the St. Louis Blues. He shot the puck, he got tripped, he was flying through the air like Superman with that puck across the face. Then he got picked out by all of his teammates. Number 4, flying Fabio. Now up in the rafters of the garden, they have more retired Celtics numbers up there for all the famous that played for the Celtics over the years. They got more numbers up in the ceiling than they got numbers left over for their current roster right there. Celtics sort of had a little bit of a down year. Hopefully a rebound next year. They got some good pieces. They got to put it together. You know, maybe they kind of tuned up their coach there. They just got a new coach. We'll see what happens. Boston's a big sports town. You know, we got all the major sports. Hockey, basketball over here. Got those Red Sox. The Red Sox stuck the last couple of years, but they're doing a little bit better this year, you know. At least they're the only game in town at the moment, so it's good if they have a good team. You can follow up a little bit. And we got that football team down the road, you know. They've been good here and there. The Patriots, might have heard of them. Yeah, we even got soccer team. Yeah, they play, the guy, the Kraft family owns the Patriots, they own the soccer team, so they play in the same place. Coming up ahead here is the Boston Public Market. Having something new in town. Opened up a handful of years back. All sorts of little farm stands and eateries, good snacking options up inside. Locally produced chocolate, honey, cheese, and cider. Locally colored seafood, cooked passes, depots. Celebrity chefs come in from town to town. Kind of a neat place to wander through. If you're checking out some of this other stuff up ahead, there's kind of a concentration of things. So that's kind of new, and it sits next to something really, really old, the Blackstone Block. Now, we have old buildings scattered around town here and there, but the Blackstone Block here is a largely intact commercial block from the early colonial days of the city. The Bell and Hand here, there's all narrow cobblestone streets, little alleyways over here. The Bell and Hand, that's the oldest continuously run bar in the country there. Got its name, Bell and Hand. Original proprietor Jimmy Wilson was the town crier, shouting out the news of the day for 50 years from these city streets before retiring and opening this joint up. For 130 years, they only served one thing in there, Philadelphia Smith's Marine Mail. You didn't believe in that hot stuff. And that's the oldest bar, the oldest restaurant, the Union Oyster House, 1826. They invented the toothpick. Yes, more useless information coming your way. You also got Dirty Nelly's over here, the Green Dragon Tap. The Green Dragon Tap had opened like 350 years ago initially. They've said open, close, you know. They got to remodel now and then. Yeah, check them all out. Now, all up and around this block, every Friday and Saturday, Haymarket happens. Fruit and vegetable vendors encircle the whole block. You get stuff dirt cheap. Bags of stuff like 40% or so what you pay the market for. Yeah, tomatoes, bananas, flying through there. It's chaos over here. They've been doing that in this area of town since the very early days. Boston farmers would roll in, set up around here. This is where everyone came and got their stuff from. Then in 1742, there's a wealthy merchant guy, Peter Faneuil, who built the very first indoor market on the bottom floor of this brick building here. It wasn't really super popular, though, because people just waited for the farmers to come in as they had been doing. The second floor, though, was a meeting space, and that's where a lot of the meetings, arguments, events, discussions, what have you. For all the events leading up to the American Revolution took place there on the second floor of Faneuil Hall, the cradle of liberty, they call it. Other important events in American history, abolition movement, suffragette movement, or whatever was the pertinent issue of any particular time frame, seen as healthy debate up in Faneuil Hall. Behind there, you got a big tourist drop, Quincy Marketplace, 3 5-minute football buildings, shopping, dining, street entertainment. Close to 20 million visitors a year rode through there in recent times. One of the more toured locations in America. This is the oldest public building in Boston right here. This dates back to 1713. There was a wooden structure that burned in 1711, so they built this out of bricks so it wouldn't burn out. This is our original state house. It was shared between early colonial government and the British royal government. You look at the top, you see the lion and unicorn up top. The symbol of England, Scotland, and Wales. Now those are replicas because we ripped the originals off the building and burned them in a bonfire, July 18th, 1776. Right after they read the Declaration of Independence from that balcony for the first time in the city. And every single 4th of July since then, we read the Declaration of Independence from that balcony. The Boston Massacre, they say, happened right there. It actually happened over here in the middle of the road, but that's kind of close enough history. It happened in 1770. You guys saw me. I didn't knock that light thing down. I didn't hit it, right? Yeah. That was a good one. I don't know how that didn't get all smashed up. Must be made of plexi glass or something. I don't know. This is the site of the old colonial jail right here back in the day. Oh, that wasn't a nice place to go. There was so many witches being tried in the Salem witch trials, they shipped the overflow into Boston. Hell of a man, trap. They caught the bloodthirsty pirate Captain Kidd out in Boston Harbor. He was held there for a couple of years before they shipped him on to England to be tried for crimes in the high seas against the crown. He was convicted and hung for his piracy. Later they took his body, they charted and drawn and quartered in good measure. His body parts were spread to the 4 corners of the globe to disperse his evil. A lot of them came back to Boston, buried right around the corner here in King's Chapel Burial Ground. Legend has it he's been haunting the place ever since. Well, it's right on anyway. This is the oldest burial ground in town, dates back to 1630. Will Dawes from the Midnight Rise buried in here. The first lady who stepped foot off the Mayflower on the Plymouth Rock. First pyramid governor, and a bunch of people died a long time ago. Omni Parker House here is the oldest continuously run hotel in the country. This has a fascinating history, and talk about it more later on. I will mention a couple quick things. This is where they invented Boston cream pie. Oh, go get you some of that. Yeah. That's where JFK proposed to Jackie, supposedly. Yeah. I think you might have hit on some other lady later that night, though, but I'm not going to get into all of that.
Probably did.
So, right ahead of us, folks. Right off to the left, rather, is the Beantown Pub. That's the only place in the world you can grab a cold Sam Adams. Right across from a cold Sam Adams. Right there. Yeah, this is the Granary Burial Ground, our celebrity burial ground. 3 signs of the Declaration of Independence. Sam Adams being one of them, Robert Tree Payne, and also John Hancock's grave is that tall one near the church wall. Much like his signature on the document, dwarfing all the others. Ben Franklin's family is all buried here. Paul Revere, the 5 guys who died in the Boston Massacre. Phyllis Wheatley, first published African-American author. Down here you got James Otis, brilliant orator and statesman. Taxation without representation is tyranny. Yeah, Otis is best known for his arguments against writs of assistance in that old St. House back in 1760. Basically, the British were just barging in our homes without any reason whatsoever. Search, Otis, arguing rule of law, that kind of stuff. Basically, I guess John Adams later on, there was a very well-read lady, Liberty was born. They call this the Granary Burial Ground. This is where the granary used to be. Where this church is today. 12,000 bushels of wheat grain stored there. That was going to take out pizza shops, fast food. You had to grow the grain, store it away. When they built this church in 1809, it was the tallest structure in the country for the next 35 years. The top of that steeple right there. Right along that sidewalk right there, Boston Common, from that corner to that corner, is where the first subway in the United States was built. They dug a massive trench out there. They unearthed some 900 plus British troops, all in their red jackets, yeah. Maybe a lot of them died up on Bunker Hill, but those 8,000 young troops camped out year-round for 8 years on Boston Common. So even though they were young, medicine wasn't what it is today. So some of them might have just died of stuff. They did relocate them to around the grave, There was 3 older subways in the world, one in Budapest, one in London, and one in Glasgow. They're right there. This is our new state house. We've seen the old one. The new one opened in 1797. Charles Bullfinch, great architect. He also did the capitals in Connecticut and Maine. And President Monroe came to Boston for the first time, toured the city. Was so enamored by old Bullfinch's work that he gave him the commission for the U.S. Capitol building. Bullfinch spent 12 years building the wings and that beautiful dome on top of the United States Capitol building. So, you guys have mostly all seen chairs, this is the exterior scenes, this is where the exterior scenes were shot. This is a reruns. It was a hit show a long time ago, 1982, I think. They ran 11 to 12 seasons, Yeah, the whole Frasier spin-off there, too. A lot of people who were in that sitcom went on to do other stuff. Kirstie Alley and Ted Danson did other things still. Boston went all over town looking for the perfect place for their fictional Boston baseball. They went down the Bull and Finch pub and said, that's the one. Now, what you seen on TV doesn't look anything like what you see downstairs. That was a soundstage in Hollywood all those years. So they kind of replicated the TV bar upstairs. So downstairs is the inspiration, and upstairs the replica bar. A little statue over there, and a nice little spot in the corner of the Public Gardens, America's first botanical garden over here. By the way, the shoreline, when we came out of Charles Street, that's where the shoreline was. Back edge of Boston Common. In fact, that's where they hopped on those longboats to cross the water here to, stop that Montreal's election in the county. In 1814, they built a dam under this road. We dug under this road right now, we find remnants of the old mill dam. It's built right up here to cut the tides off from flooding everything that way to the left of us. Because the railroads and the steam shovels had come online. That enabled Boston to grow. They went out and started bringing land in. They did a lot of that. Wherever you see water in and around Boston and places around Boston, and the land was built out into the water, filling all tidal flats and all of that. So this was a huge area. It took 50 years. Trains rolled in every 45 minutes, 24 hours a day, year after year for half a century. Filling in all of the south end, all of the back bay. More than doubling the size of the original city. They started filling in at Boston Neck, that one road leading in and out of town, worked down there for 10 years, then simultaneously filled in from this direction, eventually meeting in the middle, eventually connecting to land masses further afield up near the Fenway area. They would start building buildings about a block behind the created land down on the south end. They were building these English Victorian-style bullfronts down there. And some of the well-to-do folks started moving in down there. Little elbow room, new construction. But as soon as the brownstones or mansions of this neighborhood started rising, the well-to-do headed this way, and that ended up being for the working classes, the commoners, the great unwashed. There was just waves of immigration pouring into America, so they were building the buildings as fast as they could build them down there. It's the largest collection of English Victorian bullfronts in any single neighborhood in America, the South End. About 100 years after it all got built out, it was a rough and tumble area, a little bucket of blood rooms on every other corner down there. Things have fallen into disrepair. The early 80s was the first big wave of real estate speculation around here. People buying up run-down properties left and right, fixing them, flipping them. It's all nicey nice down there now. And it ain't cheap. Yeah, Boston has like various categories. It sort of starts as expensive, more expensive, outrageously expensive. There's a few other, one of the priciest places to live in America. Now, the brownstones and mansions you see around us, these are all single-family homes to start with. Big old mansions. The vast majority are broken up into condos and apartments these days, but there's still a smattering of intact mansions through the lovely back bay streets. They used to build everything in these tall tenements stuck down to the ground. That's what holds them all up, these tall pilings. They're just as viable today as the day they went in the ground, as long as the groundwater level stands. If that drops, the problems like here, trees drying around, buildings sag and crack. They have 800 wells they keep a very close eye on, try to catch any potential problems before you build the folks down. So, all on the other side of the river is MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. You gotta be super smart to go there. It goes a mile up and down the Charles River. They started in Boston in 1860, moved over there on created land in 1916. Big old campus there. If we took a right here and went about a mile and a half down, we'd run right through the green pastures at Harvard University. There's 70 colleges and universities in Boston and around the Boston area here. There's about 250,000 students. There's more student population here than any other place in the country. concentrated area. Up ahead is Boston College. It's a few miles down there. Every once in a while they have a few good sports teams. They produce a lot of pro football players, especially linemen down there. Just right past Kenmore Square where the famous Cinco sign is Boston University. That's a real big school in Boston. A lot of students go there. That's where all the rich kids from New York that don't get good grades go. That's a Boston joke. Up around the corner, we got the First Church of Christ Christian Science World Headquarters. Mary Beckett founded the religion in 1879. One of 10 women who have founded worldwide religions. Their mother church is absolutely incredible. One of the coolest buildings in Boston. Has one of the largest pipe organs inside. Really neat place. They got a library for the betterment of humanity, which has this massive stained glass globe of the planet in there. They got a new church for the Christian Science monitor. On hot summer days, you get to see the big reflecting pool back here. And on hot days, sometimes I see 100 kids splashing in and out of them big giant fountain out here having a grand old time. Plus a couple homeless guys taking a bath. Now, when we turn left here, if you look right down the road, up on the building top, you see the letters YMCA. That's the site of the original YMCA, just a few blocks down the road. We're going to be making stop 10 right over here in front of the colonnade. They call it the museum stop. There is no museum there. I've looked a whole bunch of times. We're talking about the one down the road. Yeah, the Museum of Fine Arts is about a half a mile that way. Not a bad stroll. You can hop on the Green Line train here, go a few stops, and drop you right off in front of a major world-class museum. And up behind the Museum of Fine Arts, they have the Isabel Stewart Garden Museum, which is a real cool, small little museum. There's the YMCA letters up there. So there's two big indoor malls. Big mall on the Prudential, which is only a few decades old, and the Copley Place Mall right over here. This has all the couture places, all the real high-end shops, you know, the $3,000 handbags, and the 40 different options. That one. It connects to this human habit trail here. It just goes on and on. You can stay inside for a month if you want. This was a big project in Boston when they built this. There was 2 hotels built attached to it, and a fancy mall inside. A lot of the shops that opened up in Copley Place here, you couldn't find them anywhere in New England. So it was a big draw, and it really helped this area kind of develop into the shishi place it became. Of course, now we get a whole new section of town vying for the fancy pants area of town. The new sequel are rapidly being built out. Right around the corner here, off to the right-hand side, is the Grand Dame of Boston Hotels, the Fairmont Copley Plaza Hotel. Opened in 1912, most all the U.S. presidents have stayed here, with just a few exceptions. The place is absolutely beautiful inside. You might want to take a stroll through here and check it out. The bathrooms are lovely, folks. Right off the left-hand side is the oldest large free-lending library in the country. This was built as the People's Palace, big old courtyard in the middle. Amazing artwork, sculptures, John Adams Library, cool map room. You really may want to hit this place up. Check it out. It'll be open a mile around. Free of charge. It really is a highlight here. I'm not trying to encourage anyone to read or anything like that. Not that that's a bad thing, but I think you'll be glad if you stroll about down through there. Yeah, Trinity Church is considered to be a masterpiece. The 10 most beautiful churches in the country. This church across the way here, this is the new old church done up in Italian Gothic style. The tower originally was about 20 feet higher, but it started to lean after a while, so they ripped it down, built it shorter and stronger than the original. The finish line for the marathon is right on the side of the library, right over here. A few memorials went up on the side of those two bombings, one very close to the finish line, one about 100 yards up from that. They went up around the 50th anniversary of those incidents. This building right here, an old TV show called Boston Illegal, that's what they showed for the fictional police officers were using that building right there. Space. It was built by the folks who used to guard the royal government back in the day. Big old fortress here. They call it the castle. You can have a wedding in the castle here. It's been used for all sorts of stuff in more recent times. About 15 years ago, they had boxing matches in here for a year or two. Spent the Lewinsky steakhouses in here for about a dozen years. 2 summers back, they had Downtown Abbey traveling exhibit all summer long. That was kind of a big headline out the door. Going back in Downtown Abbey mania. A lot of people were all into that, I guess. And last year, King Tut exhibit was coming to Boston, but he got all wrapped up in that COVID stuff and didn't show up. South 13's right around the corner, folks. We're back on Charles Street, just on the other side of Boston Common and the public gardens. Yeah, Chinatown, 2 blocks up, pretty sizable Chinatown. Some of the places stay open late night down there, by the way. Theater District is kind of in several blocks, 1 block down. Nothing going on with theaters yet, but they're dusting that furniture and vacuuming the carpets, getting ready for some upcoming bookings that they're trying to get rapidly. This thing's open back up. Virginia, London, England. But he came back to Boston, so the publishing industry was centered here for centuries. So this shows him as a young man coming back to Boston with a pep in his step and a suitcase full of ideas. The only problem was, nobody was interested. So he joined the Army. Yeah, he joined the U.S. Army. They stationed him out in Boston Harbor, Castle Island, for independence. It's still out there. It's connected now. Eventually, that writing thing, worked out for him. Although he really didn't get his, he got ball game boundary, really. Off to the left-hand side is the beautiful public gardens. America's first botanical garden. 50-odd varieties of trees from all over the world out here. Beautiful seasonal gardens. Cool public art, and of course, the world-famous smartphones swim around out in the lagoon all summer long. Public gardens opened in 1837. Swan boats arrived 40 years later, 1877. Built by the name of William Paget, jumped up. Same family bring them back each late spring. Swim around out in the lagoon. Yeah, it's always exciting when the swan boats come to town. That means we only got like 2 more snowstorms to get through. Look in the corner, the walkway, the make way for duckling statues right over there. That classic children's book, the author of that classic children's book lived up on Beacon Hill. Robert Minkowski. One day he seen Mrs. Mallard and her brutal little ducklings jack and hack and hack and over hack and hack. A couple other little practice trying to cross the busy street. One day he was inspired to write that classic children's book, Make Way for Ducklings. These are some old trees. These are old trees. They go way back. I think John Hancock planted them. This used to be his grazing pastures up here, way back when. He had a big old mansion on the hill here. Some interesting stonework coming up through these buildings. Some nice details. used to just knock everything over, but at a certain point, historical preservation kicked in, and now they save all the old buildings, facades and whatnot. So it's really an interesting mix of old and new interspersed throughout the city. If you're into that architect stuff, lots of cool stuff to check out around Boston. Shop up on floor of his bells is up to them, by the way. Here's that old hotel I mentioned. I mentioned a few things when I went by Boston. Great pie. And JFK Professor Jackie, he also had his bachelor party here. Interesting folks worked here. Malcolm X worked here as a young man. Know the name of Ho Chi Minh was a baker here. Yeah, that guy. They should have given him a raise, keep him baking those Parkhouse Rows instead of signing up for Vietnam back in the day. One of their guests won a home in shooting sales while in town, so being a fine establishment, they hooked him up at tiger practice, so him in the comic. Never did that again. He checked out, 10 days later shot Lincoln, John Wilkes Booth. They say this is the most haunted hotel east of the Mississippi. So over here is the Boston Tea Party Ships Museum. 2 replica ships have been built, exact replicas they say, so that's what it looked like. There was well, they built 2 of them. These are one on each side. These are pretty identical, pretty much. There was a one, the Dartmouth, it was a little bigger than these. They haven't built a replica of that yet. They plan to in the future, but. Now, these guys were closed today. They'll be closed tomorrow. Back open Thursday if you have any interest in doing it. Obviously, a one-of-a-kind event. They do a bang-up job. They got some good actors, high-tech wizard who tell an hotel you borrow the ships to throw the tea overboard. That's a bundle of fun. Yeah, no fun, you might get arrested. They also have a really good gift shop and a tea room you can go into that also serves beer and wine. They got a back deck. You can go hang out on the deck and watch some other radicals throw the tea overboard. So it's flown internationally out of Logan Airport. They catch a tuner out here today, and they'll ship it overnight to Japan. It'll be Tokyo, tomorrow, sushi. Yeah. So everything's all brand new back there, but this place has been there for a while. It's an old school seafood place, the Maki Crab. Yeah, the owner said he named the place after his mother-in-law. The back of the Tea Party ships to the left. You got a nice view of that. Boston Harbor to the right. Swinging back just down number 1. There's quite a bit of stuff up through here. Of course, some of the things are closed in the aquarium and all. You got Quincy Market Panya Halls right across the street. That's still kind of open through there. The public market, Blackstone Box right there. Oh, the Italian section is right through there. The north end's a really fun area to walk in the evening. I just want to. I heard earlier before we left for the tour, we might get some thunderstorms around 7-ish, so you might want to duck in somewhere if the boom is start coming. Yeah, you can play some cornhole over there if you want. Yeah. Here's the aquarium here.
Earlier this year, we were a large mass vaccination site during COVID. We
here at Fenway Park for the first time, smaller or larger than you thought it was going to be? Smaller? Most people say smaller. All right, so I mentioned outside, April 20th, 1912 is our first game, our first major league game. We actually started with Harvard University. We had a tie with them, 2-2 on April 15th. But first major league game, we played a team called the New York Highlanders back in 1912. We beat them 7-6 in 11 innings. They become the Yankees the following year. What's the ballpark look like, though, when we opened the ballpark back on April 20th, 1912? Much more simple place than today. We actually stopped just about where Sarah's group is down there. That's one end. The other end is about where that Woodbridge wine sign is right there, right underneath there. Initially, it's just all concrete. There's no seats here. We have a single level roof over our heads. As the year goes on in 1912, we do make some progress. We ended up having 24,000 seats. We draw 600,000 that year. We win our second World Series championship in 1912. A couple other quirky things about the ballpark. See where the green and the red go over there? There's a gap right there. There's a horse stable on it. There's actually a riding academy. Why is that important? In 1912, 1913, midway through the 1914 season, that's when the players get dressed. The Red Sox, the visiting team, they get dressed there and they come right onto the field. 1914, we take a storage room right behind the Red Sox dugout on the first base line. We end up putting a curtain down the middle. The Red Sox get dressed on one side, the visiting team gets dressed on the other side. It stays that way until 1952. During the 52 season, we have a series of fights that occur. The big one, what a surprise, Billy Martin, the Yankees, the Red Sox, starts inside the dugout, the clubhouse, down the tunnel, onto the field. Tom Yonfield, the Red Sox said, I got to do something. So what's he do? He takes a storage room on the third base side, and that's when the visiting team got dressed in 1952. A couple other quirky things as well. Front row. If you did front row, season tickets, they played 77 home games in 1912. That would cost you $62.50 for the season to be the first row. Probably most of you paid a little more than half of your tickets today or tonight for the games as well. 1914, we got involved. The Orioles are a minor league team. We purchased George Herbert Babe Ruth. Pitches on the mound right there. He wins 2 games, he loses 1. We send him back to the minors at that point. We bring him back though in 1915. What's he do? He helps us win championships in 1915 and 1916. 1918 comes along. It's a really tough year. World War I has started. Players are getting drafted. They're volunteering to go to the service, but they're volunteering to work in the factories. In addition, Fenway Park has people coming to the ballpark in mass. We have a pandemic that has started, so history does repeat itself. So during that year, so many players have departed, even if we join the military or work in the factories. What do? Teams, Red Sox, and other major league teams offer raises to people that play multiple positions. They move to one because he proved he could hit. So if he's not pitching there, he's going to play first base, right, center, and left field. He hits 11 home runs that year, which is almost unheard of in the dead ball era. 1918, the Red Sox are beating the Chicago Cubs. Any Cubs fans in the tour? So we got a couple of Cubs fans. We beat the Cubs here, 1918. We're not going to win a game at home since 2013. 95 years later, we beat the Cardinals. World Series was played the first week of September, 16 runs scored for 6 games. It's called the dead ball era. The ball's only taken out of play after the umpire said, we can't even use these anymore. Midway through that season, though, before we even got to the World Series, the Red Sox almost pull off a trade. Because maybe it was already proven, sort of a handful to manage at that point. We worked with the Chicago White Sox. We almost complete the trade for Schuster Jackson. Those who know baseball think how history would have changed. That trade falls through, but at the end of the year, we're thrilled because we found someone who actually wants Babe Ruth. We end up selling it to the Yankees for $100,000. People know that part of the story. But in addition, the Yankees are going to own Fenway Park. For 14 years, the Red Sox are going to make mortgage payments to $300,000 mortgage. But after we sell Ruth, we continue to sell more and more and more players. Primarily the Yankees, but also the Tigers and Cardinals. The team finishes last or next last every single year. A couple other things happen at that point too. The ballpark starts to fall apart. Just this side of the visitor dugout, we have a small fire that occurs. Then a little bit further down, where all that equipment is, that lower red box seat section. Those are wooden seats. That entire section burns down in late 1926. What do? We do nothing. And then unfortunately, about 6 weeks later, a tornado comes through Fenway Park, takes those seats, goes all the way up to where the blue seats are. Bob Quinn, the owner of the Red Sox, kind of takes a rope, sends it out to the old wall, and calls that foul territory. It's one of the largest foul territory anywhere in Major League Baseball. 1933, a gentleman comes along, his name is Tom York. He's up with the Detroit Tigers. He's one of the wealthiest men in America. He wants to buy a team, he wants to buy a ballpark. He buys the Red Sox, he buys Fenway, and makes the decision he's going to restore Fenway Park. Basically, revamp the whole ballpark. Makes four major changes. First thing he does, he extends the roof of the Gulf Sun all the way over our heads, all the way up to what's called the Sam Adams Head at that point. That's really important because in the years to come, if we don't do that, Fenway Park probably doesn't survive. We have 5, 6 streets around us. Actually, go outside Fenway Park, and 5 left or 5 right, right in the back, right where you started. But once you do, because he reinforces the roof, we can actually build up in the years to come. Second thing he does, he finishes the green bleacher seats to the left and right. Prior to that, the bleachers are sort of a separate part of the ballpark, separate concessions. The third thing he does, he puts the blue seats for sitting. These are the original open iron seats back in 1930. They're not all the original, not all the original iron, but many of them are. These are the most historic seats in Major League Baseball. And the fourth thing he does, is known for the best, there's a little wall that's out there in left field. The name of the wall is Green Monster. He occupies the team. There's a 10-foot cliff called Duffy's Cliff and a 25-foot wooden wall on top. All the flying over the wall strike the business in the lane center. Like glass windows there, they're car dealerships. He's tired of paying insurance companies. So he puts up a larger wall, 37 feet, 2 inch deck, tearing down the cliff with another smaller wall. In 1947, he's put a screen up there, 23 feet, to prevent more of the balls going out. Going to stay up there until the end of the 2002 season when we actually receive the Green Monster. We're all really good. That's going to be our last stop before we're going to make a break. All right, so TJ and I love questions on our tour. Who's got any questions for us so far? Any questions? Yes? Where's Wally? Wally is our Green Monster. He actually lives in the Green Monster. Wally's been here since 1997. Right now, I think he's sleeping. He's going to get ready because he's got to play in 2 games. So a lot of people take the picture. But during the game, I think in the 5th and 6th inning, down in the right field, Wally is usually available for photos, and his sister Tessie is very often there as well. So, very good. Yes, sir?
When and why do they start singing Sweet Caroline?
Great question. When and why Sweet Caroline? Sweet Caroline, also ironically, goes back to 1997. A woman named Amy Toby was in charge of music here at Fenway Park. She played different songs. So one night, she decided to play the Ill-Timed song, Sweet Caroline, in the middle of the 8th inning. Red Sox were down 5 runs. They came back and won. 2 weeks later, they were down 4 runs. She played it and they came back. So she didn't do it all the time. She did it occasionally. The ownership group came in 2001. Dr. Charles Schneider was in charge of entertainment. He mandated that Sweet Caroline will be sung every game. And know they and that's what's happened. But it's always a little bit more boisterous when the bullpen holds the top of the 8th inning. And that's the picture behind Sweet Caroline. Any other questions for us so far? Well, they sing in the 7th inning. They usually do it until the 6th. Yeah. We like the song Dirty Water better. Dirty Water means the Red Sox won the game. Yes, another question. Yes.
Why in every game, why is such not a Red Sox?
What was the question? Why is it the Red Sox?
Why is the mascot not a Red Sox?
Why are they not wearing Red Sox?
Like the mascot.
Oh, why is it mascot? I don't know. Well, I think he sometimes has. He changes the socks. He's white, red, blue, and stuff. So we'll have to check today. Oh, giant socks. Yeah, the Cincinnati Red is a big. He's got a big baseball head. I know. No one ever asked me that question. All right, another question. Yes. The birds. Birds are usually smart enough not to get in the way, but several years ago in spring training, Ricky Johnson was pitching for the Seattle Mariners, and a bird came right across the front. It didn't work out so well for the bird. The bird's obviously right now. We have 37,755 seats here in 2,000 stadium room. The birds have a lot of places to choose from, the leftover popcorn and hot dogs that we have. Yes, ma'am?
What year did the lights come?
The lights actually came in 1947. We're the third to last team to get lights over Tiger Stadium, which opened the same day Fenway Park and is now the field at Wrigley. We're later than that. So, all right, we're going to make our way out. We're going to go up to what we call the Sam Adams deck here. We're going to be right above the most famous red seat anywhere in the ballpark, site of the longest home run hit in the history of Fenway. So follow me down this way. Sam Adams deck. Anyone have seats here either for today's game or tonight's game? This is a great place to sit. I think the weather's supposed to break. What's nice is you get waitress and waiter service, and best of all, if you don't want to get hit by a baseball, no one's ever hit a baseball up here. Karastemsky did hit Ted Williams number 9 right below, but that was 1981, so that's the closest any time it's taken place. All right, call your attention though, right below us here, there's a red seat. See where the red seat is? That seat is 502 feet from home plate and represents the longest home run hit in the history of Fenway Park. It was back a few years, actually, just over 75 years ago, June 9th, 1946, the Red Sox were playing the Detroit Tigers, second game of a scheduled doubleheader, 2 9-inning games as well. Winds blowing out, other than a single-level press box, none of this exists. We'd had storms the prior couple days, 30, 35, 40-mile-an-hour winds. Well, Fred Hutchinson tries to sneak a changeup past Ted Williams. Ted, one of the greatest hitters of all time, gets the ball up in the jet stream. It carries, and lands right there. How do we know that? There's a gentleman sitting in the bench seat. There weren't chair seats like they are today. His name was Joe Boucher. He was an engineer from Albany, New York. He's wearing a straw hat. Ball hits him in the center of his straw hat, bounces away. Somebody else gets the ball. He's fine. He appears in all the Boston newspapers the next day. Among the quotes he has, my favorite quote was, exactly how far away do I have to be sitting to be safe from that man? The answer would be 503 feet, because at 502, that's the longest home run hit in the history of Fenway Park. He also, the other caption I thought was great, was the caption bullseye. He's smiling, he's poking his finger through the hole in the straw hat, and that's the one that appeared in the Boston Globe as well. That seat, anyone have that seat today? I actually had some people last week on a tour that were in that same row. If you happen to have that seat, it's $25, $35 on average, but it's a very popular seat. So many people know the story of the red seat. They want to sit in the red seat, or more importantly, they want their arm around the red seat. So if you look up today, if you're coming to the game either today or tonight, see how many people are actually going to be sitting in the red seat, particularly before the game starts and the people come there as well. So again, call the ticket office to say you want a seat in the red seat. You actually can do that as well. Our bullpen's down here. It's a great view of the bullpens. The Red Sox is on the far side. The visiting team is the other. Those came in 1940. They were called Williamsburg at that point. They were named after Ted Williams, our greatest player, because what happened was he was a pull left-handed hitter. They said, great, we'll put the bullpens in to have him hit more home runs, and he absolutely did. He ended up with a career batting average of .344, something that isn't even seen anymore as well. But again, great view of the ballpark from here. All right, any questions for me from here? All right, we're going to make our way around. We're going to stop over here in what we call the terrace level. Tell you a little about the green monster from over here. So follow me down this way. A couple questions came up. One question had to do with the jersey. Right when we first came in the ballpark, a lot of people see that and they think of the movie The Town, because that's where the town ended up, the big shootout scene. There was also a jersey that was there that said Boston Strong 617. That had to do with our 2013 team. The Red Sox are one of 2 teams in Major League Baseball. The Redskins are the Washington Nationals are the others that play a day baseball game prior to 12 o'clock. Third Monday of April, we celebrate Patriots Day. We celebrate the Battle of Lexington Concord. We beat the Tampa Bay Rays in a walk-up by Mike Napoli back in 2013. Fortunately, about 2 hours after the game ended, the bombings occurred here in Boston. The Red Sox were off to Cleveland that night. 2 of the players, Johnny Gomes and Gerald Saltimacchia, got together, created that jersey. 617 is the Boston area code. Boston Strong became the motto of that team. That jersey hung in the visiting dugout in Cleveland the following night, continued to hang in the home away dugout the remainder of the season, culminating in an 8th World Series championship. Placed the World Series trophy down when the first bomb went on, put the jersey on top, went on with the celebration. So thank you for bringing that up too. That was a tough year for Boston. Did end up with a World Series championship, and we have support not just for people from the U.S., from around the world as well. All right, we're up here in what we call the terrace level. Let's look back to a couple of things here. Starting over there on the Green Monster itself. So the Green Monster is a manually operated scoreboard. See, it says July 28, 2021. All those letters are hand-painted. They weigh about 3 pounds, and they're inserted from the inside out. One person does the Red Sox, whoever they're playing Toronto today. Second person does the American League. And again, the scores change this afternoon tonight. They'll take those letters and numbers and move them from the inside out. Those last three sections, though, where it says National League, you can't get behind the green monster there. There's a lot of columns and support. So at the end of every half inning, the door to the left of the words at bat will open. A person will come out with a clipboard, 3-pound hand-painted numbers and letters, and a ladder. Why the ladder? You can't reach the top scores, but the good news is we help the person out. If you notice there, we have the Angels, the Giants, and the Padres as the late-night games, so they do help them out. Those games usually have just started when the Red Sox game is wrapping up. Speaking of ladders, the most useless ladder in the world is up there where it says Red Sox Scholars, between that and MGM Resorts. See the ladder that's there? That ladder has no use whatsoever right now, but it was important. It was important in the past because when we had the screen up there, balls get hit into the netting. Prior to the game, a person would come, the Red Sox grounds crew, attach a ladder to that one, climb the 37 feet, walk the 231 feet with a canvas bag, like a bowling ball bag, put baseballs in. They'd use it for batting practice the next day. Monster seats go in. Really no reason to keep the ladder. We go to Major League Baseball and said, sure, you want to keep it? You can keep it. Twice since 2015, the ladder's been struck. Jose Altuve of the Astros hit it in 2015. I know we have a lot of Texas fans here. Any Astro fans or all Ranger fans? All right, so Altuve hit it in 15. Jackie Bradley Jr., then with the Red Sox, now with the Brewers, hit it in 2019. I've had season tickets here since 1978. Came my first game in 1960. I have never seen the ladder struck in a game in person. I've seen it hit in batting practice, and I've seen it on television. All right, any questions for me from here? All right, then we're going to stay in this level. We're going to go by an exhibit called Fenway Beyond Baseball. We're going to talk a little bit more about Fenway Park, non-baseball, sporting events, and other events. So follow me this way, please. Sure, Fenway Park's about a lot of things other than baseball. Hockey's been played here. The Third Winter Classic was played here. The Bruins beat the Flyers back in 2010. Later on, the Bruins played the Montreal Canadiens, but that was at Gillette Stadium where the Patriots play. We also have men's and women's college hockey, boys and girls high school hockey, even public skating here at Fenway Park. College football, I mentioned the Notre Dame, Boston College, Shamrock Series game. We've got the Notre Dame players coming in the field. Here they are doing Sweet Caroline at halftime of that game. Sport of hurling was here. Anyone seen sport of hurling? Great sport from Ireland as well. They play a 15-on-15 version, 11-on-11 version here. They actually played back in the 1920s. They came back again in November of 15, right after the Shamrock Series, the next day, as a matter of fact. And when they did it here, the 11-on-11 version, Galway played Dublin. Very interesting game, sort of a combination of field hockey, lacrosse, soccer, and rugby as well. Very fast-paced action sport. Speaking of soccer, Liverpool, English Premier League football team, is owned by FSG, Fenway Sports Management. They tend to play a friendly match here, usually against AC Rome or someone else like that, every other year as well. And then I mentioned the ski jump here at Fenway Park. Young Austrian snowboarder here. The Big Air Classic. This is the view from the very top of that. It was 16 stories high. You can imagine when we were giving tours back in February, or late January, early February of 2016, at the top level of the ballpark, watching these snowboarders and ski jumpers on this pre-Olympic event. It was cold the first time, only about 5,000 for the snowboarders. Second night, it was more like 20 to 25 degrees. We had about 25,000 for that. I will be showing you some photos of our second most popular event a little bit later on. Those are our concerts here at Fenway Park. So again, people think of Fenway, all they think of is baseball. The reality is a lot of other things going on. Right behind us is a hotel called the Verve Hotel. Sort of an interesting hotel, if any of you are staying there. But they're in the process right now of putting these Airstream, the little sort of mini Airstream trailers here, so you'll be able to stay right behind Fenway Park. And I can just imagine, they have the first one they put up last Friday, but I can imagine being in there. Foul balls do come over and hit that. I can just imagine being in an Airstream and having a plunk that comes in when the Airstream actually gets in. All right, we're going to make our way up one level. We are going to be passing the front entrance to the press box. Unfortunately, we don't have access to that. The press is already gathered there, but I do want to tell you a little bit about our press box. There's 86 seats in there, sort of a normal-sized press box in Major League Baseball. Front row is where the Boston baseball writers sit, the senior writers. The out-of-town media, the Toronto media, would be in the second row. We have 4 levels there. Originally, it was a 1-level press box. Then it was 3, and then in 2007, we acquired Daisuke Matsuzaka and Hideki Okajima from the Japanese leagues. When we did, we had to actually raise the roof on that. Nice day like today, look up if you're coming to the game, the front windows will likely be open. So that's, again, where the print electronic media is. Other areas right along there, as you go to the left of that, you have WEEI and NESN, the Red Sox Radio and Television Network. Toronto's radio and television network, and if it is a nationally televised game, ESPN, Fox, they would then have the booths along there as well. But unfortunately, don't have access, but when we get up on the left field side, you can look back and you can see some of the writers hard at work, working on their stories before today's game. So finally up here, we're going to take the ramp up to the top level again. We're looking out here. It's a nice day. It's starting to brighten up a little bit here in Boston. We're looking eastbound toward Logan Airport, toward Boston Harbor, toward the financial district. Big building in the center, the Prudential Building. The Red Sox are in the playoffs. They'll light that up with a big Ghost Sox, G-O-S-O-X. See that for about 10 or 15 miles as you make your way into Boston. All right, let's start sort of from right field and work our way over. Right field, the foul pole down there is 302 feet from home plate. That is the shortest distance anywhere in Major League Baseball. It's named after Johnny Pesky, a shortstop, played for the Red Sox, worked for the Red Sox for over 60 years. And again, that is the shortest foul pole anywhere in Major League Baseball. Johnny only hit 17 home runs. He never actually hit the foul pole. But later on, Mel Parnell, a pitcher and then former broadcaster, started referring to some home runs that curved around that pole as Pesky home runs. Johnny Pesky got a birthday present. He got the foul pole named after him on his 87th birthday. Just to the left of that are retired numbers up there in the Sam Adams deck. The 9 and 4 have been up to the longest since 1988. 9 for Ted Williams, our greatest player. 4, Joe Cronin, American League shortstop. Later American League president. 42, first African American to break the color barrier, Jackie Robinson. Played for the Brooklyn Dodgers' entire career. Last Red Sox to wear 42, Mo Vaughn. Last Major League player, Mariano Rivera of the Yankees. Work your way over. We're New Balance, Aeroside, and Ford. We talked about the red seat already, but see the construction. We walked by the construction there. Fenway Park is in the process of putting a new music hall in. It's going to be open in the fall of 2022. It's going to seat about 11,500. Be available for concerts, large conferences, even college graduations, etc. When that happens, the New Balance, that whole sign is going to just move completely upright. I started the tour, I mentioned, 4:20 here at Fenway Park. We had 6:35, the old ballpark, Huntington Avenue grounds, right underneath the Safe Light sign, and you can see right Synovian right in that area as well. A lot of movies filmed here at Fenway. Maybe you've seen some. I mentioned the movie The Town with Ben Affleck. They robbed the money room in the movie The Town. Where we came in was where the ambulance went through the gate. Ted the Teddy Bear fell off the light tower in left field. Drew Barrymore jumped down where the Safe Light sign is. We're in where Jimmy Fallon seats in Fever Pitch, just to the right of the Red Sox dugout. Kevin Costner, James Earl Jones here in Field of Dreams back in 1989. Brad Pitt sat just about where the writer is there in that second level seat there in the movie Moneyball. And a couple recent cinematic type events, one movie and one television show. Godzilla, King of the Monster, 8 Fenway Park in 2020. Well, that obviously is Hollywood because Fenway is still here. And also a really creepy scene if you watch the show The Handmaid's Tale, Season 3, Episode 1. Several of the women in The Handmaid's Tale came right up by the CBS Health sign that's there. Grass here is real grass, Kentucky bluegrass, perennial rye. Infield, a combination of clay, sand, and silt. And the perimeter all the way around the ballpark is made out of crushed bread. All right, time for some more questions. You guys were great already at the start of the tour. How about some more questions from here?
So you mentioned 9 and 4 and 42.
All right, so as far as the other retired numbers go, number 1, Bobby Dorr, 99 years old, passed away last year. Second base, Carl Yastrzemski, number 8. Carlton Fisk, 27. Johnny Pesky, I just mentioned, number 6. Jim Rice, who followed Ted Williams and Carl Yastrzemski, number 14. Pedro Martinez, the only pitcher up there, 45. Wade Boggs, 26, and then the greatest clutch hitter in Red Sox history, David Ortiz, number 34. So those are the other. Fred Lynn is not. Fred actually only played for the Red. He was MVP and Rookie of the Year, but then Fred Lynn played for the Angels and several other teams as well. So he is not up there, nor is Roger Clemens, nor is Manny Ramirez, and several others. So that is it for our retired numbers. A lot of those players are in the Red Sox Hall of Fame, but not retired numbers. Yes, sir. Cy Young did not have a number, nor did Babe Ruth. People want to know, what was Babe Ruth's number? Yankees, I think it came up with numbers in 1920. The Red Sox first year was like 1923. Yes?
Beers are sold average.
How many beers are sold? Depends, I would say, how hot it actually is for that. It's hard, you know, so much of the beer is sold in kegs rather than individual beer bottles. I couldn't even estimate that as well. It varies. There's all different price beers around the ballpark. Other questions from up here? All right then. I do want to mention a couple things about the new ownership group came in. 2001, John Henry, Tom Warner, Larry Lucchino, their partners, bought the Red Sox and bought Fenway. Mr. Yawkey owned the team from 1933 to 1976. He passed away, Mrs. Yawkey till 92. First female owner in Major League Baseball, and then it goes into a partnership or trust. Big movement is occurring within the Yawkey Trust to potentially demolish Fenway Park and move it across the street or down by the airport or down in South Boston. People hear about it. The Save Fenway Park movement comes in. Major League Baseball gets involved. John Henry, Tom Warner, and Larry Lucchino make a smart move. They bring in Janet Marie Smith, who helped build Camden Yards in Baltimore, most recently worked in Dodger Stadium, and she makes all sorts of changes. So since then, since 2001, the Henry Group has put about $650 million of private funds, and everything from the blue level down, really the Sam Adams deck, the blue seats, all the way up here. This is all new improvements that the new ownership group has made. The first thing they did, we're going to talk about when we get to the Green Monster. The big thing there was 2002-2003, putting the Monster seats in. But another thing that was pretty exciting, we're going to look at right now. So follow me down the stairs here. We're going to show you our rooftop organic garden here at Fenway. No, the blue and the red seats were not there until the new ownership group came in. We're overlooking what's called Fenway Farms. Any Giant fans? Any San Francisco Giant fans in the tour? Yes, okay. Well, your ballpark has the first garden in Major League Baseball when it was Pac Bell. Now it's Oracle. We have the first rooftop organic garden here at Fenway. Started in 2015. We grew the vegetables indoors in Somerville before the season started. Brought them out for opening day with the Pirates. Started about 5,000 pounds of veggies we harvested. The best we've ever had was about 6,800 pounds. What do we do with it? 2/3 of the vegetables we harvest, we eat here at the ballpark, suite level, or even anywhere around the concession. So you're here at the game today and tonight. Chances are good some of the produce came from the garden, rooftop garden. Area over here, the Vineyard Vines Club, is another area. It doesn't look out into the ballpark itself, so it's a pregame, postgame, non-game day, but the vegetables there are harvested. End of the season, we get to October, a lot less is going on here. All the vegetables are donated to local food banks and charities. Since it's a rooftop garden at Fenway Park, we're proud to refer to it as our farm team. More laughs than I usually get. The question also came up about the little red boxes that are all around the ballpark having to do with the Jimmy Fund. Jimmy Fund has to do with Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. It's about a mile and a half down Brookline Ave that way. The Boston Braves started that in 1948. They moved to Milwaukee in 52. Lou Perini, the owner of the Braves, went to Tom Yawkey and said, "Would you take over the Jimmy Fund?" He said, "Absolutely." The Red Sox helped the Jimmy Fund raise hundreds of millions of dollars every year. There are big events coming up next month, something called the PMC, the Pan Mass Challenge. You ride a bike for 180 miles, starting west of Worcester, all the way to the tip of Cape Cod to raise money for cancer. It's the longest running partnership between a professional organization and a charity, a nonprofit organization involved with sports anywhere in North America. All right, we're going to make our way out to the Green Monster now. As we do, we're going to go past the concert wall here at Fenway Park. I want to just point out a couple of things as we walk by. Concert stage at Fenway Park, about 25 to 28,000. Best concert, there's a photo of it. Mick Jagger was here in the Rolling Stones 2005. Bruce Springsteen really opened the Modern Concert in 2003. Next week is our concert week at Fenway Park. Jonas Brothers are in a little bit later on, but Billy Joel will be in, Maroon 5 is in, Zach Brown will be back for the 13th time here at Fenway Park. Anyone been to a concert at Fenway? Would you say? Paul McCartney, I did too. 2017, it was a great show that night. Pearl Jam, new kids are coming back again this year. So again, taking to a baseball game at Fenway, concerts are a pretty good second. All right, so who's been in the Monster before? 1, 2, 3 of you. All right, who wants to head out to the Monster? All those hands go up. All right, we're going to wrap up the tour out there. Follow me. There's about 100 of these around the ballpark, too. All right, so what do you think? Pretty sweet seats up here? Who has tickets up here either today or tonight? You do. Great, congratulations. Oh, I got a whole bunch of people. So as I mentioned several times, 2002, 2003, Red Sox make a decision to put seats on top of the Green Monster itself. Pretty controversial at the time. We had to get approval from the city of Boston. It was one of the big moves the new John Henry Group made. That winter, seats go on sale. They're $50 a piece. People, Red Sox sort of treat these seats like they would the bleacher seats. They don't realize how great these seats and how popular they would be. They figured out for the following year, though, 2004, tickets then become tiered price. Average ticket price probably $225, $250. Teams that are in not quite so often though, particularly the National League teams, the National League East, Central, and West, maybe here once every 3 years or maybe once every 6 or 9 years. A few Giant fans on the tour back in 2016. You hadn't been here in 9 years. The Giants were here, then they went to New York. They were here for 2 and then played the Yankees for 2. This place was packed with Giant fans, including the Green Monster itself. So 269 seats, 100 standing room, but no season tickets up here. That means 22,000 different people in the course of the season get to watch a game from here. So what do they get to see? You get to see batting practice up here an hour and a half before the game. Don't know if they're going to hit today or not. Doesn't look like it, particularly with a doubleheader. But if you hit outside, balls are coming up here 90 to 110 miles an hour. As you look up, I can see from here several ball marks on the wall that are here. If you turn around and look, these walls were repainted at the start of the season and do that. So balls do get hit up here. It's amazing people who know they're going to be up here and the Green Monster for a game. They don't bring a glove or bring someone at least can catch the ball pretty well. Batting practice, I said, about an hour and a half before the game when it's going on as well. But people do love to come up here. These seats have been voted by Sports Illustrated, Sporting News, ESPN, many of the other places as the best seats in Fenway Park you could possibly ever get. And I think most people would agree with that as well. These are the most expensive, second most expensive ticket. The question comes up right behind home plate, not surprising. Least expensive seats out in the bleachers and the standing room as well.
Why did that begin?
All right, so those of you that are here do that, who have tickets, you're the afternoon game or the evening game? Evening? Okay, so it should be about 5:40 something. Yes, sir?
Why did they have to get the okay from the city?
Why did they have to get? So the question is, why was there an approval? We literally are in the airspace right below us is Lansdowne Street. So to get approval from the city of Boston, we had to get a permit to install seats right above it as well and do that. I was here for the 1999 All-Star Game, one of the great All-Star games. It was called the All-Century because all the best players from the 20th century were invited here. What was amazing was the night of the Home Run Derby, the Monday night, Lansdowne Street, right behind us as well, was loaded with fans, including some with these giant fishing nets. I don't know where they possibly got it. Something else you get up here, if you're up here, you get to be about as close as you possibly can get to the famous Carlton Fisk foul pole. Carlton Fisk hero, Game 6, 1975 World Series. Photo of him waving the ball fair. This foul pole, 310 feet from home plate, third shortest distance in Major League Baseball. New ballparks all have to be at least 325. So at 302 down the first base line, and here 310 here. Number 2 is in San Francisco for the Giant fans as well. Do that. San Francisco's Oracle Park has the second shortest anywhere in Major League Baseball. If you also look down the line here, foul territory here at Fenway Park, there's virtually no foul territory whatsoever. All right, so this is our last stop on the tour, but I do want to give you all a chance to ask any final questions of either TJ or myself. Any final questions anyone might have? Yes, ma'am. So the question is, when they play games here, who gets to sit up here? 269 seats and 100 standing room. But again, Fenway Park's capacity, 37,755 and 2,000 standing room. So we're about 28 of the 30 Major League ballparks. Yes?
I have a question. When it rains, how do they not get wet?
I can't. What did she say?
When it rains, how do the players?
Don't get wet.
Oh, okay. The question is, when it rains, how do the players not get wet? They do get wet. What we do is, and this is a good example of this last night, if anyone was here as well, we do have a tarp on the infield as well. Our grounds crew, led by Dave Miller, our head groundskeeper, best grounds crew anywhere in Major League Baseball. This field drains incredibly well. But in the old days, before they put the new drainage system in, what actually would happen was there were fish that would come from the Charles River to what's called the Muddy River, would actually end up in the visitor dugout. And there are pictures. Dave Miller, when he first started here, it rained 4 or 5 inches the night before. He thought someone was joking. He's told the story to me a few times, and he saw fish actually in the visitor dugout. But since then, what we did, we put grates in so the carp cannot come all the way in. It's some kind of carp that makes its way from Charles River to the Muddy River and into Fenway Park at that point. All right. Any final questions? Yes, sir.
So how far the ball has to be hit to clear the...
So how far is the ball? So 310 feet. And the wall itself is 37 feet 2 inches high. So you're about 314 feet. And up here, you know, at that point, it's probably about 3:14, 3:15. We actually have one of the tour guides who's an astrophysicist. Anytime anybody asks the question, I usually say, I defer to Amy to say, can you say exactly what this is? But again, the ball itself, you know, just the arc, it depends on the speed and what the angle might be coming up here. I was a history major, not a math major in college, so I can't really answer that one. So, good. No, it's not. So these are a home run. There's a red line right in front here. Anything that hits above the red line is a home run. But you don't want to reach out. As you see, there's some signs down there as well. It says, do not reach over. You will be ejected. And that's exactly what happened. So these are all a home run up here.
On the previous question, anything that gets up here, given how high it is probably just as legitimate as a home run.
Right, exactly. Yeah, a lot of the ballparks, Fenway's only 18, 19, 20th of the 30 Major League parks in home run. What happens instead is a lot of the balls in the other ballparks might be 325 or 330, but the fence is only maybe 8, 10, 12 feet. Here, we lead the league usually in doubles every year, but certainly not in home runs. All right, on behalf of TJ, the Red Sox, myself, thanks so much for coming today. Hope you had a good time on the tour. We had a great time giving the tour to you. Enjoy the game today. If you're not going to come here this time, certainly come back again another time. We're going to exit out here at this point again. Thanks so much for coming. Hope you enjoyed the tour. All right, sun is out now. Looks great.